Alright, so for most flings, you want as much distance as you can between the two yarnies. So in this spot, we'll have the yellow yarny on the far left. We usually keep it on the cone so you get the nice height. They're at the same height together. And then the red yarny on top of these pipes on the truck can pretty much endlessly front flip. So this will be our starting position for the ground fling. And then hopefully, if all goes well, we'll get some distance. There we go. That was a pretty good one.
Okay.
So yeah,
Alright.
You'll have the yellow yarny zoop, the red yarny front flips and cancels, and then the red yarny will need to re-zoop to the yellow yarny to conserve that ground fling momentum. And that was a pretty good example of where you can go,
end
but
up, like around here in this ravine.
Kind of any distance is better than none, so it's fun to mess with. Alright, so for this ground fling on the crane, for safety reasons, we'll usually both go to the sparkle in the middle, and that guarantees that the checkpoint, if you have to restart it, you fall into the void, you tangle. If you restart the checkpoint, you'll end up back here. And then once that happens, the yellow yarny will go to the far left, and then we'll need to cancel the red yarny up on top of the crane. And up here, you get kind of endless front flips. So you can let the crane come down a little bit so that you have a line of sight between the two yarnies. And then from here is where the ground fling happens. So here goes nothing. There we go. That's a decent one.
Yeah. Oh, we got tangled on something.
And then wherever you land, most of it's going to be inbound. Sometimes you get a really juicy ground fling and it can get you to the very end of the level, but there's also the void that you can fall into between pretty much like this bit of level and the very end where the kids are at. Yeah. Alright, so if you don't want to deal with the skateboard glitch and all the randomness that entails, there is a spot here where you can front flip, and so you can use that to do a ground fling. So you'll want one yarny, which is the red one, to be on the right side up here. As long as you don't get up there together, you should be able to front flip pretty much endlessly. And then the leftmost yarny, the yellow yarny, will be the one that will zoop to the red yarny as it front flips. Ready? Kill the music? Okay. So yeah, just you get a good amount of distance between the two yarnies in that setup, and the good height distance, kind of the difference between the two, make for a pretty good ground fling spot.
Ground flings, chapter 3, starting here, drop down. So I'm down here. This is the perfect distance and height as we're gonna get.
Yellow's on the bottom.
Yellow on the bottom here, and then we have red on the cliff who gets infinite jumps, more or less.
Forever!
Alright, so with our setup, let's give it a try.
And that's the ground fling.
That's a ground fling, and that is a very, I would say average place to land, but an ideal place to land.
Yeah, you can land directly into the checkpoint or the cutscene. It's not too bad.
Proceed as usual. Okay, so the barn. There's a bit of timing to this one. When he smacks the sprinkle, I zoop to red. I'm yellow. Yellow zoops to red. And then red unmerges just before it fades to black, yes?
Yeah, so to get control of the yarnies out of the barn as soon as possible, you need to unmerge before it fades to black after this cutscene and this whole bit. If you don't, then you're kind of stuck in this like slow motion walk type of thing. And
on the other side of the barn, I don't walk, I stay exactly where I am because the point is to get as much distance between us. And then I wait until red jumps 4 times.
Yeah, red will just keep jumping and you get like 5 or 6 front flips. We've just kind of settled on 4 as the number that we want to use to be on the same page. So as soon as I hit my 4th, I know that she's going to zoop, and then I'll know to cancel. And
but try 5, try 3, see what happens.
And if you don't unmerge right before the cutscene ends and you leave the barn, you might still be able to get the front flips.
Give it a try.
You don't move as quickly and as soon as you exit, but you might still be able to get the front flip. So it might not be necessary, but it's just kind of how we've done it and gotten used to it. So we'll just go ahead and hop in the sparkles, wait for the cutscene to play out. So it's advantageous to watch this. You can skip out of the barn and climb the black webbing, but the ground fling sometimes is better. So we unmerged there. So we'll usually take the time loss. 2, 3,
4.
Take the time loss of the cutscene so we can get this ground fling right here.
Ooh.
And that was a pretty decent one. And that kind of sets you up right for the next ground fling.
Right here.
Alright, so this ground fling that can potentially skip the underground section in 3 has a bit of a setup to it, and it's not always reliable, I guess. So what we do is you come up here like normal, make the jump, and then once you get past this sparkle, when you come up, you usually get like a flip or two, but it's not really conducive for ground flings. It seems to be a spot where if you get a couple and then you run out of front flips, like you get a certain amount and it's finite. So what we do is get that sparkle and then we reset, and then you'll kind of have to figure out your own spacing and timing and stuff. But what we do is have the yellow yarny go left and use the knot to kind of get as far away as possible, and the red yarny will kind of time the jump and the flip, and hopefully you'll get a front flip. If you don't, you either just keep going or restart the checkpoint and you'll always be up on this little cliff. But
it is more of a gamble.
Yeah, this is kind of what it looks like if we go for it. Eventually.
And I don't jump, I just fall, grab, pluck.
So we got one, but it was a bit of a baby, so that's the thing. It's all about timing on that one, and whether it's worth going for you. I mean, sometimes for us it's not even worth it, but this is usually what'll happen. A lot of times we get stuck in here, and once you see that little sparkle go up there, you can restart the checkpoint and you'll be inside the underground area. So I don't know if it really saves time, but sometimes we can skip this whole underground section. So when that happens, obviously it's worth it. When it's not, something to do. And then sometimes you don't even get the front flip. So this is a work in progress spot where we're still trying to figure out the best way to do it. So good luck. All right, so this ground fling is kind of like the underground one for chapter 3, where you pretty much have like one shot at it, and if you don't get it, it's no big deal. But basically what's gonna happen here is somebody's gonna hold the log up like normal. The other person's gonna jump over, and once you jump over, you get like 1 or 2 front flips. We usually will try and go on the second front flip. So red will jump once when it lands on the right side past the water. It'll jump once, and then on the second jump is when we'll try and do the fling. And if you can get your timing right, you may get yourself a little fling. Sometimes you go a little ways, sometimes you go completely past the fish and the whole chase scene.
Sometimes you get just tangled in the ground.
Yeah, this one unfortunately is one where we do tangle a lot, so it,
Ground fling at your own risk.
If you do tangle, you just restart pretty much back where you are, so it's not a huge loss. But
we try to limit it to 1 try.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens. We'll give it a shot. So jump over, jump once, jump twice. There we go.
Hello.
So yeah, that was a pretty good one. We got the 2 front flips, and we made it pretty much to the end. So yeah, can't complain.
All right, for this one, the important thing is that at the same time, you can't have the 2 yarnies up top there. They must stay separated, and that's how you guarantee your flips there. So we have yellow on the left here, and we have red. And on the 4th jump, yellow's going to zoop to red, just like out of the barn in chapter 3. So 4 is the number we picked. That's good for us.
Yeah, if you want to go less than that, more than that, it doesn't really matter. You should have the front flip, so
give it a try.
Do your own thing if you want. All right, 2, 3, 4. This one might be dangerous. The problem with this ground fling is where you land, and we got lucky there. We're able to save it, but if you land in this area, you got to be quick on your wall jumps, and
sometimes you're just a little too low and you can't see.
Yeah. Sometimes you land before this area and you're fine. Sometimes you land past this area and you're fine. So you get some wiggle room. You're not really sure where exactly you'll end up, but it all depends on your timing of your fling. So good luck.
This one coming up, I'm gonna try. Yeah, okay, no. Yellow's gonna try and stay as far left as possible. Red gets some jumps up here.
Yeah, this whole area seems to be awesome for front flips. We usually try and use this top one. Once you like jump off the top, use that as the front flip area, but I guess any spot around here will work, but here goes nothing. And if you get lucky like that, there you go. Now, that obviously doesn't always happen, but that was a pretty decent one. Alright, so this one in Chapter 6 is kind of hit or miss. We don't really get very successful flings that often, but when you keep the yarny separated, the yarny on top of the logging truck can front flip kind of endlessly. So then what we usually do is just go to the right, the very far right, do the kind of setup jump and then go. So that's usually, okay, that was decent. So that's something that can happen. It can get kind of scary if you land where all the flames are, so just
You
keep
will
that in
land in
mind.
like that little area here.
But we got lucky on that one, and that may have saved a couple seconds. But we have gone past this whole next area before and gotten stuck out of bounds, so there are probably some potential for that, and maybe some like better setups can get you better results. So yeah.
Okay. Alright, this next ground fling is gonna happen pretty quickly, and you only get one shot at it. So we approach the boulder like usual, and you pull the boulder down, survive, and then you come up to this stick. One of the yarnies, Yarny A, will stay behind the stick, unmerge, and stay there. Yarny B will jump off of the stick, which is a nice indication of whether or not you're going to get a flip.
If you don't get a front flip here, you're probably not going to get one at the top where we do the fling. But if you do get a front flip, then you're pretty much guaranteed to get one coming up.
So if you see that flip off of the burning branch, you're going to prepare yourself to start zooping at that sparkle, that sprinkle there. And that is where the Yarny's next flip is going to happen. So as Yarny B is approaching that and then jumps over the sprinkle, Yarny A will zoop and hopefully get a ground fling.
Yeah, we'll use the sparkle as like, this is where we're gonna jump, so be ready, and you kind of get your timing based on that. So,
and you get one try.
yeah, what we've seen is if you don't get it and you either tangle or have to restart the checkpoint or whatever, I don't think we've ever seen another front flip. So it's like a one-time deal, and sometimes we don't even get the front flip at all, even if we haven't restarted a checkpoint. So
that stick is a nice indication of whether or not you're going to get that sprinkle, even though it's not 100%.
yeah,
Step 1.
pull that stick.
Step 2.
Don't die.
Step 3.
Check your flip.
Step 4.
Fling that shit! Yes! Alright, so that's what it'll look like. And then you just gotta hope you don't die, basically. I don't know where we're going, honestly. Oh.
Maybe we can catch it.
Nice, okay. And...
Maybe get ready to grab. There we go. We can grab. No, we
Fuck!
can't.